Welcome back as we head back into the wild. Actually, one of my favorite segments, and I'm really excited about this one this morning. So, on August 12th of 2012, the inaugural World Elephant Day was launched to create awareness of the urgent, and I stress urgent, plight of Asian and African elephants, and to share knowledge and positive solutions for the better care and management of captive and wild elephants.
And the only way that we can do this is through information and bringing the right people to chat to you. So Dr. Michelle Henley, the co-founder, CEO and principal researcher of a non-profit organization called Elephants Alive, connects with us to tell us more about this magnificent creature. Welcome, Doctor. It's great to have you on Expresso.
Good morning. It's great to be here on this very, very special day.
A vitally important day at that. African elephants are listed as vulnerable on the Iucn red list of threatened species. Can you tell us a bit more about their current plight?
So that status has actually been updated recently, and they've moved from vulnerable to endangered.
Wow.
Which makes it even more imperative that we really bring the elephant into the room today and consider what's happening. In the space of 60 years, in the space of 50 years, we've lost 60% of the African elephant. And it's even worse for the forest elephant. We've lost 86% of the forest elephants in the space of 31 years. So, you know, that's why they've moved from vulnerable to endangered for the savanna species, and for the forest species, they've moved from endangered to critically endangered.
Endangered. That's decimation. That's utterly decimated. Yeah.
And the only way we can correct our actions is if we delve into the contributing issues as to why this is happening. So, in your experience, Doctor, what is actually happening to these elephants? Detail it for us, because I think we need to hear the cold truth as to what is actually going on.
Yeah.
So since 2006, there's been a massive poaching wave because elephants' teeth, ivory, has value to people, and especially in the Far East. So what we found is that between 2010 and 2012, so that's in the space of 3 years, that over 100,000 elephants were killed or poached for their ivory. And this actually reached its peak in 2011 when the ivory price was escalating at over $2,000 per kilogram. So that was driving this terrible poaching wave. And at one point we were losing one elephant every 15 minutes, which is just a disaster. I mean, that's really unsustainable. And then, of course, the other massive threat to elephants is the loss of habitat, as our numbers are increasing and they are being compressed more and more within their range. And also when they break out of their range, because often we have to keep them in places that are too small for them, then there's an escalation of human-elephant conflict. So on that level as well, 62% of Africa is actually habitable to elephants, but they're only occupying 17% of that. And also 54% of that range is actually outside of protected areas. So that's why, you know, because elephants have large spatial requirements, food and water requirements, we need to think of ways in which we can connect the landscape for them so that they've also got a larger range.
It requires the organizations to talk to each other. I mean, you're hitting us with some cold, hard truths here.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult to palate, especially the losses. That to me is, it's actually unforgivable. And I would imagine even more frustrating knowing that there are solutions out there. It's just about mobilizing the right people and, as you pointed out, connecting the right people. Now, Elephants Alive is a non-profit organization striving to do exactly this, working to ensure the survival of elephants. How are you setting about your task?
Well, you know, we've been tracking elephants since 1998, and by that I mean we fit them with collars so that we can see where they move. And that's become really important to see these elephants that are moving outside of protected areas and moving through human-dominated areas to actually link conservation areas. So they're showing us that our thinking for them is too small. And that's really important, that we know how to link these protected areas to give them enough space to thrive and to also live out their lives with the social integrity that they have, because they have very complex social lives. So, you know, us understanding how they move, where they need to move is really important. And then also in South Africa specifically, people are worried about areas where elephants are compressed within their range and their impact on large trees. And that leads to like a mild form of human-elephant conflict, which we've been mitigating by using, for instance, bees to protect large trees. And then, you know, you're also busy conserving the important ecosystem services that bees offer while diminishing that conflict. So that's a very South African-based approach. But in Kenya, where, you know, where our collared elephants have shown us where these corridors are, we're also working at diminishing human-elephant conflict, because that increases their survival by teaching people to grow unpalatable crops that can protect their food crops and also have a monetary value to them, and also use beehive fences, such as being used by Dr. Lucy King in Kenya, to protect their crops. So, you know, there's a whole lot of ways in which we can ensure that communities actually experience living with elephants as a bonus and not a burden, and that will also help increase their survival.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I mean, that's just part one. We've got so many other little facets of what is a very, very important plight to focus on today. So Dr. Michelle Henley will be with you in the next couple of minutes as we get on to animals of a different sort.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It's your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso here on S3. And in case you missed it, we had part one with our doctor, Dr. Michelle Henley, the co-founder, CEO, and principal researcher of a non-profit organization called Elephants Alive. And we are commemorating World Elephant Day. Welcome back, Doctor. You gave us some very cold, hard stats that we needed to hear, because we want to make a proper change with regard to what is a massive plight for elephants across the world.
So let's continue on that lane now.
Yeah.
So if we continue to kill, and I'm going to speak specifically about the African elephant, that's very close to our heart, obviously. If we continue to kill them for their ivory at the rate that we currently are and far exceed the birth rate, what's going to happen? What trajectory are we on here?
Well, I mean, we're going to end up killing more elephants than what elephants are being born, and then we're going to lose them, which will, I think, be terrible, because they are ecosystem engineers. You know, if you look at the importance of elephants, what they do for the ecosystem, they carry up to 150 kilograms of dung per day against the gradient. So most soils are being leached, but these are mega fertilizing agents. So they're putting nutrients back into the earth. They can carry seeds 65 kilometers from their source. So they're really important gardeners. And they're also modifying the vegetation structure all the time and lowering it to make it available to other species. They dig wells in dry riverbeds that often species in arid areas are very dependent on that water that actually elephants bring to the surface. So I think it will be a very sad day ecologically, and we'll see things unravel in certain ecosystems if we have to see elephants disappear. But also on a psychological level, I think elephants are really a symbol of what we know in Africa as Ubuntu.
Yeah.
You know, their whole society is so closely connected that, you know, the individual elephant is what it is because of the society in which it lives and thrives. And so I think, you know, World Elephant Day is just a call to action to put elephants in the room and for us to remember them and to consider how we should allow them to thrive and have their freedom, give them the resources that they need. Because I think, you know, it's really important what they represent to us. They compete with us for resources, and we should be privileged in Africa that we share our continent with such a magnificent creature.
Oh, completely. I just want to build on that. You know, if you look at critically endangered now, the forest elephant, when are we in danger of losing the species altogether?
Well, when it reaches, when there's a continual trajectory of elephant loss as opposed to elephants being born. So we are fortunate that in some of the southern African states, we still got increasing populations, but there is excessive pressure all the time to use elephants and, for the resources that they offer and because they are in conflict with humans. So we don't want to reach that point. We want it to stabilize. And as I said, they've already moved from vulnerable to endangered. And that should be a red alert for us to really consider how we can protect them and how important they are to us as humans.
Dr. Michelle Henny, thank you so much for your wisdom today to celebrate World Elephant
terrifying,
Day.
but
It
yeah.
is indeed, and this is a keystone species. We need them on this planet. And I think it's safe to say that, an elephant never forgets, and we should never forget elephants. That's just the key right there on this beautiful day. So thanks so much, Doctor, for your advice and for sharing so beautifully in this, very celebratory type of day.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for the interview.
Oh man, the world needs more people living selflessly for the plight of others. And in this case, the plight of the elephant, as we have heard, has moved from just being a concern to something that is of critical nature right now. We need to do more, and it starts with you.